under the harsh fluorescent lights of a megamart just outside the city, Eleanor Vance found herself at the breaking point. At 27, she'd become an expert at stretching dollar store brands. Hand-me-downs, bargains, but nothing about that night felt manageable. She clutched her grandfather's old leather wallet, the edges cracked and soft, knuckles white with worry. The only thing in her cart that felt like a luxury was that blue can of hypoallergenic formula. The brand Daisy's doctor insisted on, the one thing her little girl needed most, and the one thing Eleanor could barely afford. When the cashier announced the total, Eleanor felt her stomach twist. She already knew she was short. She'd counted the money 3 times, prayed for a sale or a miracle coupon, anything to make the math work, but didn't. She had to make an impossible choice. Whispering, "I'm sorry, I have to put this one back," as she slid the can across the counter, her voice tight with embarrassment no mother should ever have to feel. Behind her, impatience built, carts rattling and sighs cutting through her. She avoided their eyes, feeling invisible and exposed all at once, hoping the polished floor might just swallow her up. She didn't see James Caldwell watching from a few lanes over. To everyone else, he was just another customer in a gray wool coat. But James was a billionaire tech giant who could have had groceries delivered with a tap. But tonight, he was just a dad, holding his daughter Sophia's hand, fulfilling her wish for a particular apple juice only this store sold. He saw everything, the way Eleanor's hands trembled, the apology caught in her throat, the way she tried so hard to shrink from view. James had spent his life fixing problems with money and logic charities. Boards, foundations, but poverty up close was different. He watched as Eleanor paid for her few groceries, took her bag, and walked out, a ghost slipping through a world that barely noticed her. James didn't even think. He left Sophia with his trusted security guard and returned to the checkout, grabbing the can of formula and a few other things: rotisserie chicken, apples, a loaf of bread. He found Eleanor waiting at the edge of the cold parking lot, sitting on a bench, shoulders hunched under the weight of 1,000 worries. "Excuse me," he said, gently, not wanting to startle her. "I think you forgot this." She looked at him, startled, then confused, eyes stinging with pride and exhaustion. "I didn't forget it. I couldn't afford it." James nodded. "I know. That's why I bought it for you. For Daisy, right?" Eleanor hesitated, pride warring with need, but finally accepted the bag. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice raw. When he offered her a ride home, she protested, but James was patient, reassuring, and soon she was in the back seat of his car, Sophia beside her, driving through the city lights to the modest apartment where she and Daisy lived. Upstairs, with Daisy in her arms, Eleanor felt the last bit of shame melt away. James looked around her tidy home and saw love in every corner of the photos, the books, the careful order that spoke of someone doing their best with very little. They parted with quiet gratitude. James left into the night feeling something he hadn't felt in years: a genuine human connection. The next day, Eleanor's life felt different. That night hadn't erased her struggles, but it sparked something inside, a sense of possibility, or a reminder that sometimes even strangers can see you. She started looking for new jobs, determined to build something better for Daisy, and soon applied for an administrative assistant position at the local community center for veterans. Meanwhile, James couldn't get Eleanor off his mind. When he learned through a quiet inquiry that she was the great-granddaughter of Sergeant Michael Vance, the war hero who had saved James's own grandfather's life, the coincidence felt like fate. Suddenly, helping Eleanor wasn't just charity, it was a chance to finally repay a debt of honor his family had carried for generations. Days later, Eleanor got a call from the community center. She didn't get the job, but there was something else. A new grant, the Vance Legacy Grant, established to help descendants of local veterans, named after her own family. She was offered a monthly stipend and support for school, the first recipient of a program designed for people exactly like her. She accepted, barely believing her luck, never knowing James was the anonymous benefactor behind all. The grant changed everything. She moved Daisy to a safer neighborhood, enrolled in online classes, and began to build a new life, one with room for hope and dreams, not just survival. At the launch reception for the grant, she faced her nerves and gave a heartfelt speech about the real meaning of legacy and hope, only to learn afterward that James, the man who'd helped her in the store, was the same man who'd made her future possible. Their connection was deeper than either could have imagined, rooted in a bond between their grandfather's heroism that echoed through decades. But not everyone was happy. Penelope Coington, a powerful board member, started spreading rumors, questioning whether Eleanor deserved the grant or if it was just a favor for a pretty face. Tensions rose, and an official review threatened to suspend the program. At the board meeting, Eleanor stood her ground, speaking with the fierce pride and dignity she'd fought for. James backed her up with evidencio war journal, photographs, and letters proving that this was no act of charity, but a sacred repayment of a family debt. In the end, the truth prevailed. The grant was saved and expanded, and Penelope quietly resigned. Eleanor went on to lead the program herself, helping other families like hers find hope. And slowly, quietly, her relationship with James grew into something more. 2 years later, they were family Sophia and Daisy playing together in the park. Eleanor and James side by side. Proof that one act of kindness, rooted in honor, could change more than one life. If you made it all the way here, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and share your own stories of unexpected kindness. Or just tell me where you're tuning in from. Stories like these remind us we're never as alone as we think. And if this one made you feel a little more hopeful, hit like and subscribe so we can keep sharing these moments together.